Hi, everyone. I'm Kathy Maher. I am the director of the Barnum Museum here in beautiful downtown Bridgeport. And welcome. If you have been with us on our YouTube channel before, welcome back. If you're new to our channel, please subscribe. We'd love to have you be part of the Barnum YouTube family. We've been bringing you a brand new program called Instructive Entertainment, and we want to thank our sponsors for that, People's United Community Foundation, City of Bridgeport, and Connecticut Humanities. And what Instructive Entertainment is really giving us an opportunity to do is invite so many of our cultural colleagues and scholars in the field who study attractions industry and entertainment industry. And we're very lucky today because we have had a long relationship with Coney Island, USA. And they are they have brought on a brand new artistic director, Adam Wren, and he's going to be joining us in just a moment. But just to set the record, I wanted to just let you know, the Barnum Museum and Coney Island have a very wonderful intrinsic relationship. We've been working with Coney Island, I think, for 15 years. I've been welcome to go down and speak to their audiences and their community on different topics. Notably, the P.T. Barnum Lost Legend film, the documentary, premiered in Coney Island, and I was welcomed there as part of the cast of that film, and it was great to do it in such a wonderful environment. And then more recently, when the 20th Century Fox Greatest Showman movie came out, here at the Barnum Museum, we created a program called Fiction versus Fact, the real story behind the real story, REEL story. And it really was intended to set the record straight historically, not just about Barnum, but history itself. And went down there, and it was a wonderful time because so many of the extras in the Greatest Showman film live in Brooklyn or in the area, so I got to meet some of the cast, and that was a real treat. But today we're going to be talking with Adam because of something very special. Coney Island, very close to where the museum and Surf Avenue is really where P.T. Barnum opened the greatest show in 1871. He did not open in New York City because he had a no compete clause with somebody, so he went to Brooklyn. So we have a wonderful interwoven history, and it's just such a pleasure to bring Adam so he can certainly tell everybody about Coney Island, USA, and the incredible things that are done and the people that really make that place such a not just a national attraction, an international attraction, and really talk about the future. So with that, Adam, welcome. I'm excited to say that you are certainly a rock star in the field. You've been on Jimmy Kimmel. You've been on Ink Masters. Is it Ink Masters? So you've really seen a lot and have been carrying the torch for this industry for a long time. So welcome. Please, I want to give you the floor so you could tell people a little bit about yourself and those wonderful, that wonderful resume you have, and really talk about Coney Island, USA, what your dream is, what you see the future.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. It's the Barnum Museum. This is legendary. So, I guess, like you said, equally as legendary as Coney Island, USA. So this is a perfect combination, a perfect pairing right over here. So, I am the new artistic director of the organization. We're a not-for-profit arts organization. I'll tell you a little about myself, my history within the neighborhood, within the organization. And then we'll just keep moving on. So I grew up in the neighborhood. I grew up in Coney Island back in the 70s when it was pretty rough. I mean, it was not the greatest area, a lot of crime. I mean, if you've seen The Warriors, which came out, 78, 79, it was pretty accurate. This was certainly not the little fugitive of the 50s. This was, a different time. And, just as a kid, it was fascinating to me knowing that if I crossed what was, I guess, probably one or maybe two streets, I was on the boardwalk. Once I got on the boardwalk, it was a short walk west into, the amusement district. And as a very young kid, I would go repeatedly with, my parents, with, aunts and uncles. And I knew there was something about it, like something cool, something unique, something special, but I didn't know the history behind where I was going, what was going on. And when I was a kid, there's a lot more of the architecture that was up on the boardwalk. So, you had some of the old bathhouses that were these gigantic structures that were on the boardwalk. Every single one is gone now. You had, the old Thunderbolt roller coaster on, on one of the side streets. It was at 15th Street, 17th Street, somewhere, gone. So all these things as a kid, you knew that there was history, you knew that there were these like ghosts, but you couldn't quite place what they were. And it was years later that, I really got a grasp on what, why this area is so important. But so growing up in the neighborhood, it was like the mid 80s, and it was like probably right around the time that I was able, or probably not allowed, but sort of snuck out on my own. I mean, until I was probably like mid-teens, my parents did not want me to go into the area alone. So I'd always have to go either with friends or with relatives, or and it's, I'm meeting some friends. I just went out, and as any good kid would do, and came across the sideshow up on a boardwalk. So this is 86, 87, somewhere around there. And I had never seen something like this before. So there's a guy outside on a little stage talking and telling you about the things that you're going to see on the inside. And it was, I mean, take the money, I'm throwing it, please. He made it sound incredible. And I remember going into this, very shabby looking theater, it's dark, and he was on the outside. Now he's on the inside, and he's talking about these acts that you're going to see. Started off with a magic trick. All right. It was hippity hop rabbits, where, he puts a rabbit in like a little box, and the rabbit shifts from one side to the other, and he slides it. And the white rabbit turns black, the black rabbit, whatever the convoluted magic trick was phenomenal. It's this is good, but now he brings on this old guy who's hammering nails into his face. Turns out that was Melvin Burkhart, and but there were nails, and then there were like railroad spikes, and he was hammering like a gigantic railroad spike into his face. And I'm like, what is this? A sword swallower. Otis Jordan, who was billed as the human cigarette factory. So he was wheeled on stage in a wheelchair, and his arms and legs didn't work. And he would roll a cigarette using his mouth and tongue and lips, and then light the cigarette again, putting the no use of hands. His hands didn't work. And would then talk a little about, his affliction. Oh my God. And then there's the illustrated man, Michael Wilson, head to toe tattoos. We're talking mid 80s. People did not look like that in the mid 80s.
Yeah.
And he would take a piece of wood and put his tongue on a piece of wood and hammer a nail into his tongue. People would freak. So it's now, the show ends, and I'm like, this is the most incredible thing I have ever seen. I mean, I've seen magic shows, and I've been to Broadway shows as a kid, but this is like, I just responded so viscerally. And I would go back week after week after, dragging my brother, dragging my father, any friends who'd want to go. And it was, I'm watching the same show, but it was fascinating to me, just absolutely fascinating. So now, fast forward some 15 years or so, give or take, and I see online Sideshow School. You can learn how to swallow swords, how to hammer nails in the air, how to walk on glass, how to spit balls of fire. Yeah, I'll take the class.
And that was right in Brooklyn?
That was at Coney Island, USA. Yeah.
Oh, what? Okay.
Yeah. So, it's now, again, it's, I'm like, early 30s, 30 years old, whatever it was, married, have a kid. And my wife is like, oh, you've been wanting to do this forever. You got to take the class. So I signed up for the class and learned under Todd Robbins. And Todd was the professor at the time. So I learned how to do all of these incredible feats. And it was just, it was an amazing thing. It's now the better part of a year. And I took the class. What do I do with it? I mean, it's just knowing how to do this stuff is cool, but now I kind of want to present this. I mean, I've had no experience as a performer up until that point. And just, I had this base of knowledge. Now I can swallow swords, I can hammer nails into my face, I can walk on glass, I can spit fire. What do I do? And Marie Roberts, whose banner's hanging back of me over here, was teaching a banner painting class at the same time that I was taking sideshow school. And this was probably springtime, May or June. And she had a gallery show in Red Hook in Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. And we had kept in touch from the time that I had taken the class until, throughout. And she invited me to perform. She said, well, it's a sideshow banner class gallery show. You took sideshow school. It would be nice if you want to come up and show what you learned during sideshow school. Well, that was it. I mean, that was the beginning. And I presented basically everything that I learned. I mean, it was really sort of, a hodgepodge of like every single act. And it was certainly too many acts to present, but people were coming up to me after the show saying, oh, how long, your show is amazing. How long have you been doing that? 45 minutes. I mean, literally, like this is my first ever show, which then led to running into Little Brooklyn, who was a burlesque performer and had a burlesque show, and said, oh, maybe you can come out and do an act for us, showcase one of your talents. And I did that a couple of times, and showcasing one talent as part of the show then turns into, can you MC the show? So now I'm MCing the show. And time has progressed. Am I going too long, or should I?
No. We've got, no, you're good.
All right. Stop me if but so anyway, I started performing, an act here and emceeing a bit and volunteering my time at Coney Island. So they're having an event, a fundraiser. Hey, listen, if you need me to do something, I'm more than happy. Oh yeah, we could use you to do an act. And again, that went from doing an act to MC. And I remember one night we were doing the Mermaid Ball. And Todd Robbins was emceeing the show. This is at the old Henderson's building, which has since been knocked down. But that's where the Marx Brothers had actually performed. I mean, not necessarily on the same stage that I was on, but within that structure. So
it's a historic place. Yeah,
that was historic. And it's like Marx. Yeah, like this is
yeah.
And and I remember Todd saying to me, I had done an act, and he was on his feet the entire day and said, all right, Adam, can you finish emceeing the rest of the show? I'm going to leave it in your capable hands. I'm out of here. And that was it. I mean, that was
wow.
Like, I got like the blessing, and that was it. So
Todd, for those that don't know Todd Robbins, he's actually been in one of the Barnum Museum advisors for many, many years. And he and I, back when the History Channel was really doing history pieces, I can't remember was it Western Tech or something like that. They were like, can we film at the museum and can we bring a contributor? And I'm like, absolutely. And it was Todd Robbins, and he and I did this whole program together, and just fast friends from that moment on. And he's been up to the museum so many times. He's terrific. But much like you, he's done so much TV, and and theater, and he knows Penn and Teller. It's just he's
knows
a legend
much,
in the industry.
Yeah, like, if you're within the variety arts or magic, yeah, you know him, he knows you, and you're in his phone. So,
and his son is named Phineas.
Phineas, that's right.
Hey, Phineas.
And so, so I, from that point, continued to volunteer and MC shows, and from there it went on to producing events. So, we've got the Mermaid Ball. Can you bring in the talent? We've got the fundraiser. Can you curate the talent?
Yeah.
Which then, eventually led to just, sort of incrementally more responsibility within the organization, to the point where I took over the bookings. You get a call from a tattoo festival. Oh, we need performers. Can the site? Okay, so I'm the guy who, talks to the client, writes the contract, calls the performers, more often than not, drives the performers, deals with the sound people, deals with the light people, collects the check, brings the check back. I mean, it's like, it's a.
And you're a volunteer.
Well, at that point, I was still a volunteer.
You were still a volunteer.
I mean, I was getting paid to perform, but that was basically it.
All of that other stuff is a lot of work.
It turns into a lot, but again, it's this labor of love because you wholeheartedly believe in this organization. And that's that's where the magic is. It's such a unique organization, and you tend to sacrifice things to make sure that this organization is moving forward. And then I mean, a little over 2 years ago, just about 2 years ago, I was brought in as the associate artistic director. So I worked directly with the artistic director in, working on the programming and the calendar and the shows and whatnot.
And that's a lot.
I mean,
that's a lot of programming that Coney Island USA puts out every year. Big stuff too. I mean, the Mermaid Parade. You might want to tell folks a little bit about the Mermaid Parade, but I mean, that's legendary.
Yeah.
In New York.
I mean, from really, for what is considered to be, I guess, a seasonal organization. I mean, we run really 6 months a year. We're running spring all the way through the end of October. And, the sideshows are certainly the biggest program, the longest running, the biggest program that we run. But then there's a Burlesque at the Beach program, which is, evening programming throughout the season. We've got puppetry, we've got comedy, we've got drag shows. I mean, it's our mission is to, preserve and defend American popular culture. And, sort of like bizarro culture, but not just weird and eccentric performers and performances. We've got music, although our, straight up music program is called Music of Curiosities. And it's a very outsider LGBTQ plus friendly, not just friendly, but, promoting LGBTQ plus performers and artists. And I mean, that's the beauty of Coney Island USA, is that we really are totally all inclusive.
And I've actually been going. I'm from New York, and Coney Island was a place that we would go. My father actually jumped off the parachute, was one of the few people that probably remember actually taking that risk. So it's sort of deep in my culture, but Coney Island has always been like that. It's always been, an opportunity to, illuminate yourself through the curiosities that just surround it, whether it's the beach, the amusement park, the shows, all of it. I mean, if you haven't been there, you gotta go. That I'll do my sales pitch now. If you've never been to Coney Island, it is so worth the journey. You can get there on the subway. Surf Avenue is just beautiful. You got to go to Nathan's, right? I mean, you will feel like you're stepping back in American pop culture.
It really is. We're literally in between Nathan's and the Wonder Wheel. I mean, and then you go one block farther east and there's Luna Park. So, we are right in the middle, like the heart of the amusement
Yeah.
district. And yeah, I mean it's what used to be called the Nickel Empire, because you can get there for a nickel and basically do everything for a couple of cents. I mean it's a
Yeah.
little bit more expensive these days,
Yeah.
but it's really, you go there with it's family friendly. The entire neighborhood is family friendly. It's safe. Things have really drastically changed over the
Mhm.
last 30, 40, certainly last 15 to 20 years even.
Yeah.
It's just it's been cleaned up, but there's still the element of like coolness. And I mean,
Yes.
without tooting our own horn, we're sort of the ones that are keeping that cool hip
Yeah.
spirit alive.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, all
yeah.
of Brooklyn is doing that. Brooklyn is
Well,
keeping, yeah, come on.
listen, don't get me
Maybe you
started.
can't say it,
But
but
no, the truth is, yeah, Brooklyn is pretty. I mean, listen, when I grew up in Brooklyn, you didn't necessarily admit that you were from Brooklyn. I mean, I always wore it as a badge of pride, but Brooklyn was just not. It was not the Brooklyn it is today. And but we really do maintain that sense of like hip coolness. I mean, you come into our venue, not only do we have a museum upstairs, I mean,
Mhm.
and the only museum completely dedicated to Coney Island. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing else like this anywhere. It's an entire floor that's dedicated to the history of of what went on, amusements within Coney Island, attractions within Coney Island, the beach, the sideshow. And I mean, I'm really, really excited because within the next year, we're planning a brand new gallery. We've got like an office space that we're going to be, cleaning out, and that's going to be a gallery dedicated to sideshow.
Oh,
And
wow. On the second
oh yeah,
floor.
on the set. Yep. So
Okay.
if you, I
Yeah.
mean, you've been in our
Yes.
museum.
Yes.
When you walk up the steps of the museum, you've got sort of the hall of mirrors going in one
Mhm.
direction, and there's like a door going into an office, which you probably would never have noticed, going right in the other direction. Behind that door is is going to be a beautiful new gallery space.
So you're reclaiming that for the public. That's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, and the plan. I mean, it's certainly a year in the making, and we've got
I'm
to
sure.
get the file cabinets out, a sheetrock. It's going to be work,
Yeah.
but we're really looking at a multimedia type gallery.
Mhm.
Video monitors. I mean, we've got a nice display downstairs of the Sideshow Hall of Fame, which we do every year as part of our Congress of Curious Peoples. We induct nominees into the Sideshow Hall of Fame. And right now it's on a nice painted board, but we want to do that in sort of a video and just have different
Immersive.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the pulse of audiences today. People want to be transported. And that's what we're doing here, we're working with BRC Imagination Arts to really create an immersive experience. I
Mhm.
mean, love the traditional music. That's how museum, you started with an object in a case and some labeled copy, and you read it and you move on, right? So
Right.
you're not a part of it. Nothing could be more immersive than a Coney Island experience,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So to take that journey and then still have the opportunity to step outside and be completely
Exactly.
immersed in, one of the
Exactly.
most famous cities,
Right.
on the planet.
Yeah, I mean,
So that's fantastic.
you go into some of our other galleries, like certainly like our main gallery and our east gallery, and there are these windows that just overlook, you look sort of looking south, you got the Wonder Wheel, you got the Cyclone, and it's like it's just this real life experience of you can almost reach out and touch these things from that big window. I
Yeah.
mean, they, in sad news, the windows also overlook the Grasshorn building, which was torn down just a few months ago. And that was the oldest building in Coney Island. up until the point that they tore it down.
That's
Now,
a shame.
yeah. I mean, our building is a little over 100 years, 102, 103 years old, something around there. So we've got the history upstairs. Now, you remain on floor level, on street level, and you've got the freak bar, which is an experience unto itself. I mean, it's just a visually cacophonous place where it's exactly what you would expect to, a bar in Coney Island to look like. It's just got stuff off the walls every which direction. There's art, there's photographs, there's tchotchkes, there's giant funny faces, and Coney Island, USA memorabilia, old posters. I mean, it's just popping. Now we've got, of course, the gift shop where you can get really just kind of one of a kind Coney Island items, and other assorted items from different artists, different books related to Coney Island, related to amusements, related to sideshow. And then we've got the theater, the sideshows by the Seashore Theater. And I mean, honestly, I'm really, really proud of this year's cast. We've been open at this point, we've been open just a month. So we've had only weekend performances. I think we've done 4 weekends already. And, we did a couple of rehearsals, just to make sure that everyone's sort of blocking rehearsals, tech rehearsals, and making sure that everything is running as it should. And within the first 2 weeks of working with the cast that have been working, I mean, the show is tight and running smoothly and efficient. And it's like this crazy 1-2 punch of like, it's funny and the acts will completely wow you. And it like, as a new artistic director, that's a dream come true. When you've got a cast that are just want to work with you and will accept direction. And I'm not going to say that it's criticism, because they came in with terrific acts, and it's a tweak here, a tweak there. Hey, let's make, you're getting a chuckle, let's turn that chuckle into a belly laugh. And they're like, okay, yeah, we want to do that. Let's turn the ooh into like a holy cow. Yeah. And they're all working together. And
that you're creating a team. So everybody's coming in as individuals and you're creating a team.
Oh,
so collectively,
it's an amazing team. Yeah, it's an amazing team. And
you got to remember to put the links in the description. So when your schedules make sure we link so people can get information for that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if you're watching, ConeyIsland.com, and that's the you can get all the information there. And I mean, something new that we did this year is in the last 40 some odd years, there were big signs in the theater that said no photographs. And we still don't allow professional photography, but grab your phone and take some pictures. I mean, you can work for us. You like the show, tell your friends about it. Instagram and TikTok push it out. Exactly. Tag us, tag the performers. And what we've seen over the last month is our social media numbers really growing as a result of that.
Because you've got so many people working for you now.
That's it. Exactly. Everybody who buys a ticket is now our employee. So
on staff. That's brilliant. That is very Barnum-esque.
Exactly.
So not to take the conversation to COVID, but do you see this huge, momentum growing because everybody is so ready, to showcase their talent again, to really be a part of the world again. So, are you seeing the COVID, post-COVID shifts?
Our
emerging, yeah.
numbers over the last, really since we've been open over the last month, if we compare those numbers to the numbers back pre-COVID 2019, even though the weather has been colder out in Coney Island this year,
yeah.
it's cold. I mean, this
It's
is
cold.
not, we are not having a spring. This is sort of like winter light.
Good.
And and then it's going to go from 50s and it'll jump to 90s and stay there till the end of September. So I mean, it's what we're looking at here. This is a new reality, I think. But even though the weather has been colder, our numbers have been better. And I think part of that is the fact that people are they want to get out. They've been cooped up for 2 years. They haven't seen. I mean, we on the show last year a handful of times. I mean, anytime we'd open, there would be one of those breakout cases.
I know.
We'd have to close, and then we'd open a week later, and we'd have to close. And it's like, you know what? The risk isn't worth the reward. Let's just keep it, shut until it's safe.
Yeah.
But people are certainly like raring to go. The performers are at their peak. The audiences are loving it, and just in check and tune with what's going on, and they're coming out, and it really is great to see when it's because technically we're still pre-season. I mean, the rides are open, the amusements are open, but our season really begins right around the Mermaid Parade, which is mid-June. This year the parade is June 18th. And, so right now we're weekends only. We're going to be going 7 days a week on June. I believe it's June 13th is the first Monday that we're open. And then we're going to stay open 7 days a week through mid-July. And, by mid-July, traditionally things tend to slow down in the middle of the week. So we'll cut down to 5 days and then, go through the end of August, or middle of August at 5 days, depending on how tourism is. We may drop down another day, but for the most part, we're going to remain 5 or 4 days a week.
Yeah. We've all become masters of our audiences.
Yeah.
We've all become masters. You have to be. Yeah.
You have to monitor this, and the slightest uptick in COVID now has I just got like a memo today, that we are now in New York on COVID medium, which is which means it's getting a little worse. So be vigilant. Just wear your masks. People, go.
That's it. Keep your masks on. Just go.
Exactly. I mean, we have a vax only policy. We're sort of keeping with Broadway. I mean, we're a far cry from Broadway, but at least now, I mean, give me a couple of years as artistic director, but we're keeping with them. Broadway is still vaccine only, and we are maintaining vaccine only. Yes, we've had to turn away a few people, but for the safety of the many, it's worth it. I mean, again, some people are angered that they're being turned away, and there's nothing we can do. This is our policy. We want to keep everybody. I mean, our performers are doing things that literally go in their bodies. We just want to make sure that everyone is safe.
Everybody's safe. I mean, that's it. Connecticut is very, very similar, that is a nice thing, because we still have the meetings, making sure everybody is holding the steady line, making sure everybody's healthy and safe, and
right.
For, because people bring things home to their families, and everybody has stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, well, good for you. But yeah, that's a good model to follow. So it's not as confusing for people.
Right.
So that's a great thing. Yeah.
And yes, so I touched on the Mermaid Parade. Let me tell you a little bit more about that. So, I mean, this year we're actually honoring, as our king. Our king is going to be Dr. Dave Chokshi. And Dr. Dave, I don't know if you get the New York commercials up in Connecticut.
We do. Because I'm in Fairfield.
Okay. So he just ended his tenure as the head physician for the city. And, he was on commercials for the last, certainly 2 years. Hi, this is Dr. Dave Chokshi reminding you to get vaccinated. So he's sort of a minor celebrity.
Yeah.
but we also wanted to honor the healthcare workers.
Yes.
And
bravo.
yeah, so we got him. So Dr. Dave is the king. We've got a contingent from Coney Island Hospital who are going to be marching right in back of Dr. Dave. All the, any healthcare worker that wants, they got a big group together and they're doing, their own t-shirts, and, they're really going to enjoy the party that is the Mermaid Parade. Yeah.
That is wonderful. Yeah. And let me say now, thank you to every single one of those people that were on the front lines.
Yes.
Medical, emergency services, I am humbled by the work that they continue to do.
Yeah, I mean,
to keep
certainly
us safe. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Coney Island, Brighton Beach, the areas that really, that hospital services were hit pretty hard with, during the pandemic, like when it was heavy in. So, it's nice to be, to just think of them, to honor them. And we're still at this moment, we're approaching a queen royalty. We have had a couple of we have a minor setback, but we're moving forward. We're going to have a queen any day now.
Okay, I'm rooting for whoever it is going to be announced. You must tell me right away.
I will, but I can't now. So
nope. Not asking you to. By the time this airs, it might already be a done deal.
I would hope so. Yeah.
By the time this airs. So we've been talking for a while, and I figured, let me just ask you, you've answered so many of my questions, but you are obviously having an amazing inaugural year. Congratulations. It sounds like so much is happening, and the level of joy that you're bringing everybody is way up here out of the park. So what do you, okay, so, it's like, okay, what next? That's always my next line. It's like, so the future, I mean, you're laying this incredible groundwork, which is extraordinary. So what do you, as the new artistic director, see for your future? What is your long range vision, for Coney Island, USA, like the next 5 years? You're thinking about that, or you're living in the moment?
Long range vision is going to be, let's wrap this year effectively and efficiently, and let me take a little nap. That's basically, I'm tired already, but
naps are good.
But I mean, no, the truth is, we're working on our new space, which is right next door to, our building is 1208. We've got 1214, which is literally the building next door.
Okay.
And we've had that building for quite some time, and really, aside from a few one-offs, never made good use of the building, never made good use of that space.
Okay.
And my dream is to make it a functioning space where, you can have bands coming in and wanting to play, having performances. And I mean, the difficult part is we share a wall with the Eldorado bumper cars. And if you know anything, you can hear the music across the street. So, you can't really have a nice quiet show,
right,
when they're thumping the bass on the bumper, but it's all good. You put in some bands, you put in a loud variety show, and you won't notice it. That's part of the charm. It's what hugs you about Coney Island. Right. All of the sounds and the noise, right? Yeah, the noise and the colors and the lights, and throw in a candy machine and you got it all. Perfect. That smell.
Well, I'll tell you, however the Barnum Museum can help you out in vision planning, or whether you know how to get a hold of me.
Oh, absolutely.
Happy to do that, especially with the museum.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, with the new gallery, we will certainly be knocking on your door. Yeah, absolutely. We're always here to lend a helping hand. However, whatever skills we have that we could, send over your way. It's an absolute pleasure. So, you have any parting news? My last question is, of course, you've been on the cyclone. How many times? The cyclone has, as I age up, the cyclone and I do not get along. No. I get it. It was a ride even when I was a kid. I've been on it for the most part once a year, except for certainly during COVID. I was on it once this year, and with a mouthful of ginger candies, to help me with the nausea. I got off, and I really did feel my brain sort of rattling around in my head,
I hear
and it took me about 2 hours to sort of get my color back. And I said I can't be doing this again. I mean, I stopped doing the spinning wheels, the moving
Yeah.
wheels on the Wonder Wheel. I have to stay in the cars, the moving cars.
Yeah.
I have to stay in the stationary car on that. I did the newest roller coaster the other day, the Phoenix, which is it's a beautiful ride. Oh, it's one of these where your legs are dangling, so you're sort of sitting harnessed in.
Oh yeah.
But your legs are dangling, and that was put up. It was finished just about a year ago, and so it's Coney Island's newest coaster. It's part of the Wonder Wheel, park. The Vorderis family.
Okay.
And it's a beauty. Oh, it's a beauty.
So,
I only got incrementally nauseous on that.
So I was going to say, so when I come down there, we both go on one of the two.
We'll go on the Phoenix.
We'll TikTok ourselves going on and let everybody take the ride with us.
I have a bag of ginger candies in my office.
Perfect.
Knowing that, inevitably I will be invited to go on a ride, or will want to take someone on a ride. So at least if I can prevent some of that nausea, I'm okay.
Perfect. All right, you're in charge of that.
Covered.
So with that, I want to thank you so much for spending time with us and our audience today, so they know all the information about Coney Island. We're going to put in the attachments, easy to find, exactly right below.
Just below.
So look, make sure, like he said, they're, Adam said, they're also a 501c3, so a donation is always wonderful for Coney Island, USA, for the Barnum Museum. We all appreciate anything everybody could do to just help us keep our missions going forward. And in Barnum's word, the noblest art is that of making others happy. And I salute anybody who's in that industry. And Adam, I am so happy to know you. I'm looking forward to getting to know you even better and working with Coney Island, USA many more years in the future. Oh yes, thank you. Thanks so much for having me on, and I can't wait to head up and during the summer. Absolutely, we will be fully under construction, so I'll give you a hard hat tour. All right, I'll bring my own mask. Okay. So thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next week. Bye. Thank you.